Boy, is my cat well camouflaged, resting peacefully. A good model for me. Anyway, happy Wednesday. We're talking about fear this week, and we remember the great yoga story. In yoga, one of the words for fear is abhinavesa, and it can mean small fears, and it can also mean existential fear, the fear of our own existential demise or extinguishment. So it seems to cover it from all angles. Uh, One of the best definitions of fear that I ever heard that is has never failed to be true for me is when I'm afraid, it boils down to one of two things. I'm not going to get something that I want, or I'm going to lose something that I already have that's valuable to me. So that's sort of been inscripted on the doorposts of my heart, where it's like when I'm afraid I'm not going to get something that I want, or I'm going to lose something that's important to me. And with that definition of fear, which I think really resonates as being true inside of me, it's always a reminder that reminds me to always pause and recognize a little more quickly when I'm being assailed by the termites of fear inside of me when they do strike. I can pause and I can look to see what it is that I think that I'm not going to get that I dearly want, or I can see what it is that I'm afraid that I'm going to lose. And when my consciousness elevates to that level of recognition, then I've already begun to work on my consciousness, which is always where the fear is. Continuing with that yoga definition uh, of fear, the word abhinavesa. Abhinavesa is the byproduct of previous afflictions going on inside of us. And the number one affliction, we remind ourselves, is avidya, which means we forget who we are. When we forget who we are, we develop a false, small, superficial sense of self that's very fragile in the world. And we might call it our ego. And we bravely face the world with our ego, and then it leads to the next two afflictions, which are we struggle as a small sense of self. We see the things we like, we try to grab them and pull them in. And we see the things that we don't like, and we exercise our willpower to try to push it away from ourselves. Again, this is another angle of there's something I want that I think I'm not going to get, so I have to reach and grab for it. Or there's something that I don't want that um, that I'm afraid is going to happen to me. So I have to push the weight of my will against it. And this is the great struggle of existence that mortals are consigned to. So the answer, of course, is to remember who we are. Fear is always most quickly quelled by a reference to our true nature, because anytime we're afraid, we're referring to our small, mortal, fragile, vulnerable, susceptible sense of self. And we can practice ourselves into that state of mind. It's almost as if someone is highly prone to fear, it's almost the commission of purposeful forgetting of who we are. People who have overcome a good deal of fear in their life or wish to, and I believe everyone that's involved in our group is probably looking to quell and to eliminate as much fear and to cultivate as much joy as possible. It is the byproduct of purposeful remembering. We purposefully forgot who we are and then became subject to more fear. But as we purposefully remember, that's the answer to avidya. We purposely remember who we are. We're not small, we're not just small, mortal, fragile, vulnerable, weak beings. We're infinitely powerful, and nothing can really hurt us at the spiritual level. And that is a practice. And we get that opportunity every day. So today and moving forward, we might remember that definition of fear being, I feel like I'm going to lose something that's important to me, or I'm not going to get something important that I want. And then that in that remembrance, we can pause and simply say, there's nothing that I want that's not available and not going to come to me in the fullness of my destiny. And there's nothing I can really lose of any permanent value. And it's this calm, certain confidence that we cultivate on the inside. It's those seeds of calm and confidence that we plant and that we water and that we focus on that ultimately will weed out literally all the fear in our being. And then we will have made a great soul transition and we won't be subject to the disease of fear anymore. That's a wonderful thing, not only to imagine, but to remember because it is our destiny. All right. See you tomorrow.